At dawn, the small Mumbai flat pulsed with that peculiar mix of comfort and quiet dread that only monsoon season could conjure. SlumG, in his maroon shirt, perched on the edge of his bed as his mother, her sari sleeves rolled up, triaged the morning laundry, each sock and shirt a minor victory against the mounting damp. Rain battered the window with a ceaseless rhythm, threatening to seep through cracks in the sill, while the purple washing machine hummed back defiantly, as if both appliance and family could keep the flood at bay just by sticking to their routines. Beyond the window, the alley was already slick and treacherous. Even Brazilian baller's scooter looked like it might float away if the downpour kept up, samba music muffled under a blue tarp. Overkill Master, 88, ever the fixer, peered in with a plastic bag full of weather warnings and a roll of tape, scanning every exposed wire like a bomb technician on chai break. Inside, breakfast negotiations began. Oats or not, protein or pride, as chat's first emotes flickered to life. Tiny avatars cheering the absurd heroism of simply keeping one's feet dry. Just as SlumG's mother managed to hang a last shirt above the glowing purple washer, the anxious symphony of the monsoon suddenly swelled. Rain hammered the tin awning with such ferocity that the alley disappeared behind a shimmering grey curtain. Thunder rattled the red refrigerator, making the stacked plates tremble, and a small leak snake its way across the floor. Overkill Master, Day 88, materialized at the door, clutching his weatherproofing kit like a talisman, voice rising above the roar. "If you tape the wires now, you might still save the router." But his words dissolved into chat's simultaneous explosion. Demands for zoo updates, wild troubleshooting theories, and stray confessions of samosa envy. Mrs. No Doubtfire shouted from her window, tallying rainfall in centimeters and scolding anyone who so much as mentioned leaving for the zoo. Even the monkeys have called in sick beta. While Squirrely Traveler, soaked but grinning, pressed her face to the fogged glass. Lonely Planet, forgotten, in favor of what looked like pure, hungry curiosity. And somewhere in the chaos, as the lights flickered and the laundry threatened to slip, SlumG clung to his makeshift morning routine, knowing full well that in this city even survival could be washed away by the next wave of absurdity. The kitchen erupted as IRL Rise raid crashed in, chat filling every inch of air with Tomb Raid emotes, samosa questions, and frantic cries of "Teach us how to chew." Princess Peach, half-drenched and triumphant, shoved her latest stash of chilies through the window just as the oil threatened to leap from the pan, and Squirrely Traveler, sockless and grinning, banged on the glass, desperate for a trade. One waterproof guidebook, one samosa. Overkill Master, 188, swept in, eyes darting from the flickering light bulb to the growing puddle by the fridge, muttering about taping every loose wire, because this rain wasn't just another Mumbai shower. It was the kind that shorted out stoves, ruined dinner, and, last year, sent his own kitchen floating into the neighbor's goat pen. For a moment, the chaos was total. Mrs. No Doubtfire yelled storm stats from her fortress of umbrellas, while SlumG's mom, arm steady despite the rising storm, flicked golden samosas into the wok, face set in the stubborn hope that if you can keep the oil hot and the laughter louder than the thunder, the flood might spare your home one more night. And as the power flickered and the laundry finally slipped from its hook onto the wet tiles, SlumG realized survival here had nothing to do with escape. It was about holding the line, one absurd, spicy, communal moment at a time, as the monsoon threatened to wash it all away. Lightning cracked, the power hiccuped, and suddenly the stream was a three-way brawl. Kitchen smoke, chat spam, and rainwater all vying for dominance. SlumG's mom, her jaw set with a mixture of defiance and fatigue, yanked the pan off the flame just as the oil spat up at Princess Peach's outstretched chilies. Both women letting out involuntary laughs that sounded suspiciously like battle cries. Overkill Master 288 ducked beneath a sagging garland, barking orders about unplugging the fridge and hoisting a plastic bag over the router. "We lose Wi-Fi! We lose everything!" Outside, Squirrely Traveler slipped on the flooded stoop. Guidebook lost to the gutter, but still pressed her nose to the glass, eyes wide in hungry awe. As laundry floated toward the drain and chat devolved into existential debates about zoos and the meaning of survival. "Is a samosa a kind of ark?" someone typed. SlumG caught his own reflection in the blacked-out laptop screen. Shirt damp, hair wild, one hand wielding a spatula, the other trying to restart the stream. A ridiculous ringmaster in a circus that was all storm, all spectacle, and somehow, impossibly, still home. When the last samosa was lifted from the oil, it felt like a minor miracle. The kitchen, though splattered and steaming, was still standing. The chat had settled to a slow simmer of thank yous and sleepy emotes, and even the rain outside hesitated at the threshold. SlumG's mom wiped her brow, passing a half-cracked joke to Princess Peach about storm-proof chutney, while Overkill Master 208, tools finally idle, leaned in the doorway, watching the clouds with a wary eye as if suspecting the next deluge was already plotting. Squirrely Traveler, socks wrung out and guidebook safely rescued, lingered just long enough for a final grateful bite, their gaze drifting between the chaos-worn kitchen and the glistening alley, a look of quiet longing rising as the brief calm revealed both the comfort and the distance of home. Inside, the warm, turmeric-yellow light wrapped the family and their oddball guests in a bubble of normalcy. But the marks of the storm remained. Muddy footprints near the fridge, a plastic bag still sagging over the router, wet laundry lined up like surrendered flags by the door. With the samosas cooling on a metal plate and laughter fading to soft chatter, SlumG glanced around, at his mom, at the empty spots where guests had perched, at Chat's lingering good nights, and realized that the old routine had not returned unchanged. Something had shifted. Plans were washed away, new followers and friends lingered in the digital ether, and the home thrummed with the strange, proud memory of absurd survival, a promise that the spiral would resume with the next rain and the next improbable day. But the spiral refused to settle. As SlumG's mom tucked away the last chutney spoon and the kitchen's glow threatened to lull the world into peace, the living room woke up again. Duolingo's German owl blinking to life on SlumG's laptop just as the power flickered. A warning cough from the monsoon outside. Overkill Master 288, never far from crisis, peered through the window, cell phone in hand, muttering about water levels and how Wednesday's the only day we don't drown, mark my words. A burst of chat static shattered the calm. Zynek, all malice and boredom, spammed India is shit until Mrs. No Doubtfire, ears sharp as a crow, barked up from her balcony. If he knew rain, he'd know survival. Squirrely Traveler, momentarily stranded between sock drying and homesickness, offered a hesitant danke from the corner, longing for a home where chaos meant only lost umbrellas, not lost plans. Even as SlumG fumbled German pronunciations, his mother's hand pressed his shoulder, a silent reminder that in this flat, absurdity and survival were just the rhythm of another night. The rain would keep coming, trolls would keep trolling, and somewhere samosas would keep frying, each one a small golden defiance against the unfinished storm. Night settled softly on the lavender walls as the last of the golden samosas cooled on their metal plate, their scent lingering even as the kitchen fell silent. SlumG sat with his mother at the tiny table, the world outside muffled by returning rain and the hum of a single fan. Overkill Master, 188, toolkit finally stowed, but eyes still darting to the door, lingered just long enough to warn, "Tomorrow I'm bringing a new tarp, just in case." Across the room, Squirrely Traveler, finally dry and drifting into sleep, clutched her guidebook like a passport to somewhere drier, but smiled as Bosock's 0485 delivered a whispered, "Buttermilk, darling," for the glow, before slipping away into the night. As SlumG glanced at the flickering bulb and the small puddle creeping toward the fridge, he felt the day's mad spiral settle into a fragile, exhausted peace. Everyone changed, maybe only a little, but enough to savor this quiet, absurd calm together, knowing that tomorrow's storm would demand the same wild dance all over again.